Hello, all you beautiful people. It's League Unlock. It's a Monday, which means we've got a whole lot of action to go through from the weekend. Mark and Eric here with you guys. Remote broadcast rolls onwards. We're both wearing red today. Of course, we did convene about our outfits leading up to this episode, as we always do.
Hey, there's got to be some level of coordination here for League Unlock, even with the disruption here with the coronavirus shutdowns going on here. We're filming remotely, but we are still taking care here, making sure we got the match in red going on here to take you through the full-on weekend recap.
We got playoffs in LCS, playoffs in LEC, more regular season action. There were some great matchups in the LPL and the LCK. We'll start in North America because, Cloud9 was the most recent series, at least for playoffs, and they did exactly what you expected. I mean, on a weekend where you could say there were definitely some upsets, none to be found from the 17-1 squad from North America. Utter dominance across 3 games against 100 Thieves. There was maybe one moment in the early game in Game 3 where you're like, oh, maybe we'll have a competitive game. But that quickly turned over to Cloud9.
I was going to say,
dominating.
Couple minutes went by, and that one was pretty clear again. Going to be another victory for Cloud9.
I'm giving 100 Thieves like 5 minutes in Game 3.
But see, I was going to give 100 Thieves the benefit of the doubt of having this time to prepare, and it was going to be playoffs, and you know what? They worked hard and turned some things around in the last couple of weeks, and maybe North America's not, super strong all the way through, but I thought 100 Thieves, you can show us maybe a little bit of something in this playoff matchup. Of course, going to be tough against Cloud9, but I thought, look, give us some sign of life here that you're going to have something to work on, something to build off of here when you go to the inevitable gulag match here against TSM and the rest of the losers gauntlet here. I didn't really see much. All across the board here from 100 Thieves. And entering this one, specifically, I wanted to see someday find a way to steal away a match here for 100 Thieves. I think that was going to be, if they were ever going to, the very, very minuscule chance that they were going to beat Cloud9, that was going to be a requirement to have someday at least steal one. And that would have been a good sign heading towards the rest of the playoff series that they're going to have. And then I wanted to see Ryoma really have some strong performances here. I knew that it was going to be a tough against Blabber and Niski in the form that they've shown the entirety of this split. But I really thought maybe, again, the last couple of weeks, he'd shown some progress here as we got towards this playoff push. And I had hoped that would translate into some actual results here in the playoffs. I don't think anything from those series could be considered a type of positive result for 100 Thieves.
And I feel like anyone that was going to match up against Cloud9 in that first series, going forward into the next one, you probably weren't going to have a whole lot of confidence.
You weren't going to feel so good.
No, I have more confidence in Niski's Zoe after this series. 3 straight games of it, and you see that scoreline. 17-0 and 19. He had more kills than 100 Thieves did in the whole series.
So the way it works is you got to have Chovy's Zoe as number 1 in the world, and then number 2 sliding in NA Niski right here. That's how it's got to go, right? That's what we've seen so far.
No arguments out of that. And one of the reasons someday maybe didn't pop off like you needed him to against Cloud9. I mean, Licorice, these are clearly the 2 best top laners in NA right now. But he had 2 games of Ornn, and then he pulled out the old Hecarim throwback with the TP Ignite. I was excited to see that pick in Game 3.
Hey, that's one of my absolute favorites here, that one coming through. I think it was the first time we saw him bust that one out was against TSM to get that counter pick against that Aatrox that was... Oh, yeah, exactly. The Aatrox that was just running through everybody here, getting the Hecarim into this one. Love that pick.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of that, what more can we say? Cloud9 didn't have to do much. I mean, they played well, and they completely annihilated, as they have done for the majority of the regular season in the LCS. And now awaiting them in the winners round will be Evil Geniuses, which means we kind of have... It's like Fnatic versus Origin 2015, where you have C9 A team and C9 B team, all the players that left. Obviously, Cloud9 are still going to be huge favorites, but EG against FlyQuest, how they got there. I mean, it ended in a backdoor that's gone right, and we'll get to the G2 series a little later about backdoors gone wrong. But Solo, who came in for game 3, won that game to get FlyQuest back in the series. Bless his heart, man. He was trying his damnedest in that game 4 on the Aatrox to keep FlyQuest alive.
Yeah, and hey, that's still got to be the story for FlyQuest as they get into that loser side of the bracket. Is going to be, bouncing back and figuring things out on that top side. We've seen
start solo.
Viper,
that's how you figure it out.
Right. We've seen Viper struggle mightily so far this split, and not even get anywhere close to the levels that we've seen him get in the past year. And so this is really the thing for concern here with the rest of FlyQuest, because things elsewhere have been more or less okay. I think Santorin has been doing what he can in the jungle. You're looking at Power Vivo being nice and steady. And of course, you get the engages coming through from Ignar and Wild Turtle. Wild Turtle's always there to step through and do the damage coming up after the engages. But I don't think that top lane play has come through here for FlyQuest, other than Solo stepping in and doing what he can. But again, he's only come in the last 2-3 weeks here, and to step right into a playoff type of matchup here, that's a big ask for a guy.
And on the EG side of things, it was, they were in control most of the games, at least the games that they were winning, even though game 4 took a little bit longer than you might have liked. But we know GenG is going to draw at least 2 bans pretty much every single series.
Get that Rise out of here. Get that Rise. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it for a single second. Get it out.
Yeah, and it wasn't even banned in game 4. And he didn't play. That was the double global comp with the Taliyah Pantheon, which you can flex all over the place. You can go Pantheon top, Taliyah jungle. But the champion pool is interesting for GenG, and against Cloud9. What do you say someday for 100 Thieves? Maybe he pops off and carries a game. GenG, maybe you're hoping for that for EG.
Hey, and that's really hoping for something in this one. Look, just the way it looks here and what we've seen from Cloud9 and the form that they continue to be in here so far, stomping through 100 Thieves in their playoff matchup here. I see no reason to go anywhere else than a Cloud9 full-on stomp through.
And Evil Geniuses are, now we haven't seen TSM in a best of 5 yet, but EG, I think somewhat clearly were towards the end of the regular season, the last few weeks, the second best team in North America, and there's still that incredibly massive gap between them and Cloud9.
It is just the way that Cloud9 is playing, the synergy that they've been able to get here, and the communication that comes through here.
Oh, Mark has disappeared. We'll get him back.
Of synergy and getting through. Oh boy. That was interesting.
All right, we're back.
Nice little webcam action going on here. Hold on. Ooh, gotta love working. Technical difficulty solved, I hope.
You got the robot.
We get it through?
Oh, I think we're back.
That's great, because I just can't hear Eric one bit.
That's good.
Give me a second.
The robot voice is gone, though, so that's good. I do enjoy the robot voice from time to time. We're popping out. We're popping
We're back.
out. Wait for it.
Are we back? Are we back? Are we back?
Now we're back.
Hey, we back. All right.
We'll see if I decide to cut that. Probably
sometimes we're going to get a little bit of technical difficulties, but hey, we're going to get through it, and we're going to get this recapped.
You know what that is? That's a behind-the-scenes look of how everything's going. Usually that would be sliced out of the video, but not happening right now. You guys are just...
Hey.
You're in our rooms. You get to see what's going on.
There's no producer Reed to slice and dice this up to make us look good here. You're getting the ugly side of League Unlock here to get you through and get all that information out.
Actually, I'm going to blame that one on producer Reed. He's not here. But
okay. Hey.
Was absolutely his
way
fault.
To drop the ball, Rito.
Come on. Step up your game. What were we talking about? Evil Geniuses not having a chance against Cloud9.
Who's going to step up? Who's going to steal the victories here, right? We were talking about wanting to see someday. If someone like Someday, in the form that Someday's shown us and how he's been able to steal games for 100 Thieves in the past couple of weeks, isn't able to get one on Cloud9, who on Evil Geniuses is going to get it done? I don't see any of these matchups. Yeah, and how is he going to get that done with the attention given to him from Blabber and Niski slamming up?
I think immediately you say the carry potential that GenG might have to steal a game, the mismatch between Licorice and Kumo, former top lane training partners, is a bigger mismatch than anything GenG can put up against Cloud9. So that immediately nullifies even if you wanted to give a slight advantage to the mids. So, and Niski,
and again,
he just roams. He's like the Caps. Whereas Jizuke tries to be the Perks, where he dominates the lane, just gets ahead in that 1v1, and Niski says, all right, I'll grab 2 kills top and 3 bottom. Great.
Right, and even on the Evo Genius side, if you're thinking, okay, I'll give you all of those ones here, but I got to have faith in our world champion Bang in the bottom side alongside Zazel here, they're going to find a way to get advantage. And then you're going up against Sven and Vulcan, where, look, even if you're getting an advantage on that one, you said it right there. Niski is going to be roaming through, making sure that, hey, my boy Sven, he's not fed enough. Let's get some kills.
Yeah, that ain't a 2v2.
That is not what you're going to want to be seeing here. I, again, fully am on the hype train here for Cloud9. They have been so dominant and so much clear and above anyone else here in North America. I don't see any upsets coming through.
At least for EG, if they lose to Cloud9. If they're not out, they'll go down to losers. And we have games this week before the weekend. TSM gets their debut in playoffs against 100 Thieves, and then the Guardians go up against FlyQuest. And the loser bracket teams get a few days to study because they already saw these teams play. You get an advantage for being a lower seed. Great.
How much is TSM really going to learn? How much can you really learn about your opponents from seeing them just get absolutely obliterated by the level of skill, coordination, and play that Cloud9 is putting out?
We should just do what they did. Oh, wow. We should just play like Cloud9. Oh, okay.
Oh, be like Cloud9, 17-1. Why didn't I think of that earlier? Man, damn.
Coach Peter, you're onto something. You're a smart guy. But those are Tuesday, Wednesday, and you lose in the losers bracket, and you best believe your season's done. Which, you know what?
Hey, you're out of here at that point. But yeah, hey, we're going to get these matchups here. And look, you know what? I'm actually pretty excited about these ones, given everything we've said about them. I think 100 Thieves and TSM is an exciting, kind of spicy-ish type of matchup here because, of course,
spicy-ish.
everyone, these are big organizations here in North America, lots of hype and promotion around 100 Thieves in the past. And then, of course, the old guard of TSM. Both are looking to find some level of success here in this franchising era of League of Legends in North America. And let's see who gets the edge in this one. I've got TSM slightly over 100 Thieves just so far. But, man, this is one of those ones where you can see matches going either way here. And I wouldn't be surprised to get all the way to silver scrapes.
And you know, TSM, even as a lower seed, because of their history as an organization, they're going to be favorites, or maybe not favorites on paper, but if they lose, it will be a bigger deal than if 100 Thieves loses, because that's how TSM works. And it would be a disappointing season for them to not win, or disappointing split for them to not win a single playoff series. Talking about loser brackets, by the way, didn't think we'd see G2 in the losers bracket drop in before the finals, but this series, remember, we were filming on Friday, and we were hanging out in Game 1, and it was Mad Lions. Okay, they look like they should win Game 1. Yep, that's fine. You expect G2 to bounce back. Didn't know what kind of an insane series we were in store for, with it looking pretty convincing in Mad Lions' favor. You thought they were going to close this game out in Game 4. They had a huge lead, and this looked done. And then you're thinking, okay, wow. Dominance from them. G2 comes back in Game 4, storms back to win it. Perks is Cassiopeia, and then you think, well, Mad Lions has no chance now in Game 5 with all the momentum going over to G2, but Q capses Ziggs in that 5th game.
You got to be looking at this series, and pretty much the way I saw throughout all of this, I think there was more positives from the Mad Lions than there were from G2. I think Mad Lions controlled the majority of this series compared to G2.
It would have been so
esports.
sad if Mad Lions lost this series on that back door with how much better they had played throughout the 5 games.
And that's the incredible thing here, is that you have Mad Lions play to that level here. And one of the best things, of course, about the way that playoffs have been reworked to these type of formats is G2's not done. We're not done with seeing G2 yet. Of course, going to the loser side bracket, which is going to be mighty, spicy, tasty, delicious, everything that you could say about it, getting them in there to see more games from them. But as you saw, even with Mad Lions playing the better level of League of Legends that entirety of the day, it came down to that type of base race, literally right to the very end type of situation here, even with in that game Mad Lions having such an advantage over G2. And that just speaks to exactly the levels of determination and how smart G2 are in knowing that, hey, if you're going to be taking this, that leaves that this is open on your side of the map here. And you better believe that if you're going to be taking that, there's going to be a cost on it on your side here, and I'm going to be there to take it in.
So Caps is going to get the brunt of the criticism and memes because he's held to such a high standard. But I want to we got to shout out Mad Lions, the positives from them, because Carzzy and Kaiser were clearly the better bottom lane almost across all 5 games. Even the ones that they were losing, I think they were a strong advantage. It was Perks kind of carrying the load in these games, especially that game 4, to get G2 to a win. And the player of the series, Shadow, going up against Jankos, who was clearly the best jungler in Europe throughout all of the regular season. That game 5, 16 kills, 16, 2, and 5 on an Olaf. That's a hell of a performance, man.
Yeah, hey, I thought Shadow in the back half of the LEC spring split really stepped up his play for the Mad Lions. And hey, as they made their push into playoffs, he was a massive part of why they were able to get those advantages in the games that they were able to convert into those victories here. He did a phenomenal job this series. And as you said, going up against all-pro jungler Jankos here and getting that done against the G2 squad really does show what he brought to the table this past weekend.
And I think for Mad Lions, we talked about them kind of cementing as the 4th best team, rounding out the regular season. Now they get to test themselves against Fnatic. And yeah, Fnatic are going to be big favorites in that series, but I expect an actually maybe closer than what we saw out of OG, which we'll talk about that series in a sec. But for G2, even though they went 15-3 in the regular season, it didn't feel like the same dominant force that we saw throughout 2019. And we've heard them talk about maybe they'll kind of reevaluate after spring how this second role swap went, but I can't imagine they keep Caps in the bottom lane. He doesn't seem to have that skill set that Perks has, where he can swap and play an entirely different role and within a full year be at the very top and world class of that role. He just doesn't seem as comfortable with the play style of an AD carry. I want Caps back mid. I want him back next week in the mid lane.
And we've talked about this before here, saying that, you know what, the different play styles that Perks and Caps brought to the mid lane and the different looks that they looked like here for G2. But more specifically here, it's what they're lacking now in the bottom side, having Caps down there. The skill is just not the same that we had with Perks this past year when he was playing that role there. And specifically, one of the things that is questionable, the meta hasn't changed so much so that you can't be playing these mages down in the bottom side or finding any level of effectiveness with them. We've seen Cassiopeias, we've seen Syndra's find a way to do the damage that you need from that spot there. And those are champions here that I think that adding something down there, maybe having, hey, Perks play one of those champions down in that bottom role position and have Caps take something flexed into the mid lane. Something like that would be something I would be much more interested in seeing, or at least want to see here in spring before we kind of go, okay, let's just throw Caps right back in the mid lane for summer. Yeah. I think that this was something that they've completely underutilized, the idea of if Caps is going to be your quote-unquote ADC, to play around with this idea of having him and Perks switch and swap through the draft actually where they're going to be laning.
I think we were anticipating that to happen throughout spring, and it just never really did. But apart from maybe week 1, when Caps had impressive Senna performances, when she kind of fell out of she became fasting or famine Senna. That's how the meta rotated. Yeah, haven't seen him really excel on any of these traditional marksmen. Even he's been playing a lot of Ezreal, which is, the safe AD carry pick. You just haven't seen that same level of dominance that we saw out of Claps when he was in the mid lane. That hyper aggressive, it became less of a coin flip in 2019. He was mostly just dumpstering kids. It doesn't translate over to AD carry. I don't expect them to change completely when they're in the middle of a playoff run, but I would be surprised if there wasn't some changes with this roster for summer, aka Caps goes back mid.
Hey, you said the coin flip. The coin flip became last year, not whether you were going to get Claps or Craps. The coin flip was which lane Caps was going to go to and demolish and destroy for you guys. Like, that was really the question here, where he was going to roam and who was going to get the brunt of Caps demolishing them. Hasn't been the same here this year, having him down in the ADC role. And again, I love my boy, Luka the Bazooka Perks, doing all that damage, doing all that carry work in the mid lane. But man, for the sake of G2, it seems like it might be best with this super lineup that they've got to throw him down in that bot lane position.
Of course, now they run through the losers bracket. Caps gets MVP after MVP, and they win the whole thing, and we look really stupid.
Perfect.
But hey,
Hey,
be
look,
happy to see it. I want to see G2
if I
at the
can do
top.
that for you, Caps, gladly take that one.
And we'll take credit for it as well. The other series, Fnatic OG, which was supposed to be the closer one, the more hyped up one, ended up being pretty darn one-sided, especially when you consider the game that Origin did end up winning. It took them about 15 to 20 minutes longer than you thought. It was, I think, at one point, 23 to 6.
They were two Trundle minutes away from losing that one. I tell you that much.
It was 23 to 6 in kills at one point, and I was thinking, man, like Fnatic was just playing the map so much better than Origin in that game. They saw their win condition, and that was, we cannot fight these guys straight up 5v5. So they were running around all over the map. Hylissang is split pushing as support Trundle, even though he's not really support because he's getting all the farm from Senna, which they played 4 games in a row. The Zillion Senna combo. I loved it. I loved it. That was fantastic. And then
I can tell you who didn't. Origin and Deficio. Those are the people that
2
did
games
not
they
love
let that. I would have banned that after game 1, but they let it go twice.
Absolutely.
But Fnatic looked very convincing in this series, even though they dropped a game. It almost gave me more confidence that they almost won that game.
Right, and hey, look, this is nothing against G2 and what they had to go through with Mad Lions and that type of series, but this was clearly, to me, the indication of things that we have been talking about the past couple of weeks here, is that if you really do look at it, I think all the way throughout in a best of 5, playing at their absolute peak, I think Fnatic could be the strongest squad here in all of the LEC. And look, again, it takes one little mistake, and how many times you're going to play a perfect League of Legends here. But we pretty much saw it in this series against Origin. Fnatic running at all cylinders, exactly what they want to be doing, how they want to be imposing their will across the map here. They did that all throughout this series against OG.
Yeah, and Reckless, like I said, 4 Senna games in a row. Rotate the support that Hylissang is running. Doesn't really matter. Reckless is a guy, and Fnatic more than ever, if they find a pick that they like, that they know is strong in the meta, they will play that every single game until you ban it. Even in a game that they lose, they're like, well, Senna certainly wasn't the issue in this game. Run it back again. And they almost force these bans out of you. It doesn't even need to be something that's completely dominating and taking the game over. But Reckless in particular, Siva or Trist or meta, I'm going to play it every single game until you ban.
Right, and it's all about finding whatever champion this is that Reckless seems to be falling in love with for whatever the patch is and the meta is. What do we pair with that? That's the interesting thing that I think that Fnatic has been able to do here is figuring out which wacky things and which things are unpredictable here and which ones pair up so well and synchronized together here. Things like the Senna and the Zillion, those type of combinations come together here. These are the brains coming through from Fnatic here to dominate through here. And we saw that was a nasty combo. And you better believe that they've got other type of champions here that have unique synergies alongside someone like a Senna that they can implement here. Loving this pick.
And I think because we've seen Nemesis play Ornn and Vigar so much, people seem to think maybe he doesn't actually have a deep champion pool. Look at this series, man.
Oh boy.
Played 4 different champions. Played the Yasuo, Diana, Azir, and a Cassiopeia. We know he loves the Cassio, but much like Reckless, Ornn's busted. Sure, I'll play it. Vigar's a counter to some of these picks. Sure, I'll play it. But this guy can play tons of different champions. He got player of the series, and I think Nemesis kind of went under the radar this whole season.
Hey, we did. We've talked about this in kind of the responses here to our LEC All Pro teams here. The situation is that Nemesis kind of seemed to get passed over, more so not because that he wasn't delivering good performances or up to that level, but just because you kind of went, that was an Ornn game, and I don't really care about Ornn. How exciting can you really get about Ornn? But when you do look at the play and you look at the numbers here all the way throughout, it has been top-notch play coming through from Nemesis here, and he's proven that point of, hey, another elite level player here on Fnatic. And just because he's an elite level player, he doesn't bring that type of attitude of like, okay, I'm elite. I'm not playing that crap. I'm not playing something stupid and boring like Orin. No, he says that thing is busted. I am going to be so gross playing a champion that is disgusting like that here. And he has fully stepped up here for Fnatic. And you're right. I think playing those type of champions here has made people maybe pass him over as far as being surprised or as impressed with the performances that we're getting from him. But he is for sure a star.
You know what's fun? Winning games, being the tank, and doing the most damage in the game. That sounds fun to me. Like, yeah, give me more orange. Play as much orange as you can. If the other team is silly enough to leave an orange pick open these days, lock it up, man. Doesn't matter what lane.
You're asking for it at that point.
Jungle, top, mid, throw him in 80 carry. AP carry. He'll probably annihilate. Fnatic versus Mad Lions, I'm very excited for. Fnatic will and should be the favorites, but I'm expecting a closer series than people might expect. We had rare Sunday action in the LEC. Rogue versus Misfits, the start of the losers bracket, which means you're in the bottom half, you lose, and you're out. And that is exactly where Misfits' run ends in spring. We were hyped about this team for a long time, and a little disappointed with the level that they showed against Rogue in this series, especially because Rogue kind of came in on a pretty massive slump and were underwhelming to close out the regular season. They showed up, to be fair. Larson looked much better in this series than he has the last couple of weeks, but expected more out of Febivin in particular.
Right, and kind of the unfortunate thing here and kind of the negative side for Misfits was the performance that they gave in this series is incredibly lackluster for what you had hoped or expected this Misfits lineup to be able to provide against a Rogue team that did seem to limp into this position for playoffs. We've been talking about Rogue wanting to, assert themselves as this top-level team in the LEC, and for a couple weeks they were able to do that. And then towards the last half of the split, they really did kind of drop that level of quality into kind of one of these slots. Okay, you're clearly not towards the very top here, but you are at least a playoff squad, and that's where they set themselves up for. And you were hoping that Misfits would prove themselves better than that, to say, hey, we are that little step above the way Febivin's been playing here with these rookies. We can get it through here. Nothing really came through here from that Misfits squad. Outside of that first game performance here, nothing went the way for Misfits.
And I don't know if any of these games particularly inspired me to have faith against Rogue, against Origin, because I think those are the two they play next in the losers bracket. They play kind of similar. They play the most similar out of each other. I've said before, the top three, G2, Fnatic, and now Mad, almost play like they're from the LPL. Origin and Rogue play that slower LCK style, and right now in Europe, that just doesn't match up to these fast-paced fight across the entire map. So seeing those two LCK-style teams matching up, it'll be interesting. Origin will still be favorites, and will probably take down Rogue.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be a much more traditional matchup here. I don't think either... Not really entirely. I guess maybe more so on the Origin side. You could see them maybe come through with a creative type of pick and composition here. But on the Rogue side, you don't really see those type of things come through. The only thing wacky that they really try to push through is that Draven for Hans Sama, which, I mean, that's not really all that wacky in any consideration
it's that
anymore.
And the Kled for Finn, which has been
his
one trick for years.
And like, again, very strong performances on those type of one-trick champions here for these guys. But I don't think that's what's going to cut it here in these type of, wanting something to surprise someone in these LEC playoff matchups. And as you said, Fnatic, G2, and Mad Lions now seem to make up that top three of performance and the level that they're playing at right now. And they all bring kind of this level of excitement and unpredictability and how they're going to go at you and what composition you're going to get here. But you can't say the same here for Origin and for Rogue.
So we have Fnatic versus Mad Lions in the winner's side. Rogue versus Origin in the losers, and the winner of that match will play G2 on Sunday. And yes, if G2 loses another best of 5, they are ousted before they even get to finals, which would be quite surprising.
That would be a big time story here. I don't see it happening, though. I want to have us have another big time primo clash at the top here for the LEC final.
I need to see G2 against Fnatic or Mad Lions again. Good chance that it will happen.
Give me the rematch or give me the history. Give me the rematch or history.
I think only Fnatic or Mad Lions are capable of beating G2 in a best of 5. And do I have faith in Mad Lions doing it again? I have a lot more faith than when before they matched up this weekend. That's for sure.
Hey, as long as we're getting Humanoid running through that 0-6 Nautilus to start off the series, that's what they needed here to lull G2 in that false sense of security.
That was...
They said, we're going up against doing B. No.
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 Yeah, that's... Maybe they were going for that mental edge. Uh-oh. No. Malphite mid.
Humanoid and doing B are quite different people to match up against.
Yeah, but they were both at Worlds in 2019, so they have that going for them.
Hey.
There was also a lot of LPL and LCK action over the weekend. Some juicy matchups. You had T1 versus Gen.G earlier in the week that kind of set the stage for this first place showdown. They were clearly the best, and then all of a sudden, these guys start exchanging, I don't know what you want to call it. They didn't want to be first, but T1 versus Damwon, all of a sudden, since Ghost has come into the lineup with Damwon, they've won 8 games in a row, 4 series. They're at 8-7, now right in the thick of the playoff race, and they look good, and T1 did not play to their standard, and when you combine those, you get 2-0'd.
Right, it is not an indication of that, oh man, Damwon is instantly always going to be better than T1, moving on out type of situation. No, this was simply, you know what, I don't think T1 brought their best to the table here for this matchup, and at the same time, Damwon has been in incredible form and are really rolling through. Again, since they've made this change to Ghost down on the bot side, they have been pretty much unstoppable here throughout this run in the LCK, and it's really been great to see from them because, hey, at 4-7, we were talking, look, this is such a disappointment. We wanted to see Damwon make strides after going to Worlds. We wanted to see Nagari and Showmaker improve, and you know what? They both have improved, but the story still has to be about what's going down in the bottom side, the stability that they're getting, and the advantages that they're not giving away to the other teams now. I think is the bigger side here. What Ghost has brought to the table here for Damwon has been a major change around.
It's funny with Ghost now looking so much better. All of a sudden, Beryl looks great again. And you remember we were talking about him as one of the better supports in Korea last split, definitely top 3 or top 4, and he's getting back to that form because Hoyt was playing. They were trying all these different kind of roster changes, and support is the main one that they do move around on Damwon. They've stopped doing that. It's Beryl and Ghost game in and game out, and even if T1 has a bit of an off day, still very impressive that Damwon came away with the 2-0. You felt bad a bit for Kana in some of these Ornn matchups because Nuggery was just slamming him, especially on the Jace on game 1.
Yeah, hey, and you know, but Nuggery is the type of guy that's looking for those type of matchups to say, like, that's exactly what I was looking
Ornn?
for. Give me this champion here. Yeah, exactly. So not much there in that one, but hey, look, good performances from Damwon here, and again, they're continuing that one through here, and I think they've got themselves here now above where KT was in the standings here, making that push here for playoffs.
Yeah, they're both 8-7, but the better game score is Damwon, so they are sitting in 4th, sitting pretty right now. And a quick shout out, because it happened against Fnatic Origin as well. Seeing the different champions to be picked alongside this Senna in the bot lane. I mean, you had Hilisango, Trundle, Zillion, then Beryl this series. Maokai we've seen a couple of times, but I love the Sion. Throwback to the tank Sion. Just seeing whatever big beef boy
so gross.
People line up along Senna it's a good time.
Not for the other team. It's not a good time.
No, but it makes sense. You know, I'm a fan of this, even though people might not like it. I like seeing this feast or famine Senna in the bot lane. So T1 dropped the game to Damwon, but before that, Gen.G were trying to give T1 first because they matched up against DRX and they got slammed themselves 2-0. The first game is maybe, if you haven't checked this game out, if you want to see perhaps the most dominant Zoe performance in the history of the game, watch DRX versus Gen.G game 1 because Chovy was absolutely disgusting.
Hey, you're going to have to go to somewhere, a different type of tube than YouTube to see that one, different hubs, whatever you're going to be going to, because that is X-rated performance going on there, man. That was disgusting, completely obliterating the other side.
And we've talked about, we've hyped up BDD all season. He's looked great for the most part. Gen.G, up until this week, was clearly the best team in the LCK. And then they go head-to-head against the other top 2, or the other top 3, and they lose. They get slammed a couple of times, and Chovy both games, he's deathless, and both games, he destroyed BDD in that head-to-head.
Right, and this is not, oh my God, BDD's back to being shit. This is it. It's over. He's back to the KT days. That's not what's happening here, guys. But at the same time, you got to look at this matchup, and you got to give all the praise here to what Chovy was done. Because look, these are two elite level mid laners here, and Chovy just completely outclassed, outpaced, and demolished BDD in lane and outside of lane here in this matchup. This series was all about what Chovy was doing here and put on the big time carry pants.
And now all of a sudden, DRX, because T1 and GenG both dropped the game, they're just one game back of both of them. At 11-4, T1 and GenG both 12-3. Better game score still goes to GenG, so they're still first. But DRX, I think we were slowly starting to pull back on them in terms of hype this season, but a 2-0 win nonetheless against GenG definitely gets you back excited about them. And a quick MVP updates. We got Chovy with 1,000 MVP points. Aiming is in second with 900. And then you got a couple of unknowns in BDD, Clint, and Faker, all at 800. It's a crazy race, man.
That's what we said, man. KT aiming has been the big story for KT, and he's been the one putting on the carry performances for them, getting those MVP awards here. But yeah, Chovy, he's got a lot of these performances up his sleeves here to break out, and I'm sure we're going to get more of these MVP level performances from Chovy here.
And the KT hype did die a little. They got 2-0'd by DRX and then lost to APK Prince, but still 8-7. So
that was I got excited. I got excited for the APK matchup. I said, yes, we're getting another matchup against APK.
Another win.
Chance to prove.
Oh.
I just got too excited. That was my fault. I got ahead of ourselves here, guys.
Everyone, comment and blame Mark for that one. He got a little too excited for KT. We both were excited about the RNG IG matchup on the weekend, and me oh my. You were not disappointed if you watched this entire series. Game 1 was absolutely insane, the amount of back and forth that you had between these squads. It only was 38 minutes, but it felt like a 58-minute game with the amount of back and forth that was going on. Rookie almost single-handedly saves the game on Orianna, but RNG does eventually end up winning thanks to Xiaohu's Rumble, who picked up player of the game. But that game 1, you were like, wow, this series has already lived up to the hype. And then TheShy plays Vayne top in game 2, and TheShy is what Hooney dreams of. Like this is what I want to ascend to. He's not close now.
It's peak form. No, he's been in the past.
Yep,
but it hasn't lasted all that long, and it kind of comes and goes. But that's a different story entirely here. This series was all about TheShy and all about Rookie and what they tried to do here for IG in this one here. But it is, of course, as you said, RNG finding their way through.
And the little tidbit of RNG always hovering over Vayne in Champ Select because Uzi's not there. It's an homage to the greatest player in the organization's history's favorite champion. Well, after they got completely styled on by TheShy playing it, the game 3 they're hovering over Amumu because they were crying that they got annihilated by the Vayne. That is incredible. That is top tier material.
I keep telling you guys, you got to be watching the LPL. If not for some players here, just watch it for the attitudes and personalities that you get through these type of things always happening. You get the emotes coming through the BM. You got to be watching the LPL, guys.
You got to be. And the sheer level of mechanics that we saw throughout this series from a bunch of different players. Yes, TheShy was insane. Yes, Rookie was insane. Betty had some good plays. Xiaohu, I mean, he played 3 Rumble games in a row. But he had some insane ultimates. I mean, that's all you care about and what you're looking for on the Rumble.
That's what we're grading you on.
Yeah, that's all you're looking at is the red carpet. But game 3, it was a little bit more convincing in the favor of IG. They didn't even give up a turret in that 3rd game. I love this Nico pick that Rookie seems to be favoring so much. Him and Faker. Not many mid laners bust out that pick very often, but Rookie and Faker seem to know something else because they love playing that.
It's been kind of an interesting thing with Nico as a champion and how things have gone with her. I think a lot of people have kind of just completely used it as a novelty, the idea of her passive of, looking like these champions, things like that. We haven't really seen it ever be used to the advantage here. Faker and Rookie are absolutely two players that I would single out as guys who have a full, not only understanding, but utilization here of the passive on Nico here. And they really are some of the best at piloting that champion.
And a quick shout out to the young guns in the jungle for both these storied organizations, Lian and Xiaolong Bao. Lian played all 3 games, expecting him to start more than Ning. He already has been all of spring, and he's looked much better. So 3 new players, basically. I know Lian played a bit at the end of summer last year, but basically 3 new players, and IG looks completely revitalized and, again, looked like an absolute force, even when we get to the international stage.
And again, they're looking great, and they lost. They lost Jackie Love in the offseason. They don't even have that type of superstar here. So
don't need him.
Exactly. They don't need him right now, but I want to see that matchup against top esports with Jackie Love in the lineup, just so we can say that they do need him.
Yeah, and for Jackie Love, you thought he might make his debut with TES on Monday, today, which is when they got back on the Rift, but it wasn't him. It was Fodic who got the start. Top did get the win against Rogue Warriors. Don't know when Jackie Love will be making his debut. I can't imagine it'll be that much longer. You'd want to get this guy into your lineup almost immediately, but it's only been a couple days since the signing was official, so probably later in the week, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a week until I'm gonna start to say, hey, give me my Jackie Love type of post coming through here, because look, it's been a long time without our boy Jackie Love hitting the Rift. We are in some serious need of some Jackie Love highlights coming through.
And man, pairing him with Knight is going to be absolutely insane. But TES are now 8-3. OMG ended their losing streak. They got a win against Vici Gaming as the kind of middle tier of the LPL has a little bit of shift, but TES at 8-3. That's a pretty good starting point. You come into a season if you're Jackie Love. Oh, nice. We already got 8 wins. Cool. Yeah. So what? I need to win like one series and we clinch playoffs?
You already got 8 wins, and this squad is saying, man, we really should have had 9 or 10 by now with how strong we are. And so that is an awesome situation for a player like Jackie Love, already with his championships under his belt, stepping into that one, looking to add more to his legacy.
The big off the Rift news in the last 24 hours. They're a little bit behind all the other major regions, but the LCK announced that for 2021, they will be going to the similar franchising model that the LPL, LEC, and LCS have already all done. They're accepting applications from teams in May. The challenger scene, this is going to be the last year that we see it. It's going to be much more like what we have in the LPL and LCS, where every team will be responsible for fielding their own academy roster, which most teams in Korea almost already do with all these trainee squads, so that won't be a big change. Players, their minimum salary are going to be getting almost tripled across the board. There's just going to be tons more money being funneled into this region. And Joe Marsh, CEO of T1, tweeting, can't wait to send in the T1 application. I hope they accept it. Imagine a world where Riot denies T1 franchising, Mark. I don't want to live in that world.
Imagine a world where Riot denies Immortals franchising only to give them a spot a couple of years later. Huh?
Whoops.
There's no way. There's no. God, I can't believe I'm having to do this, because if it goes the other way, that'd be unthinkable.
That would be an April Fool's type move, man.
Yeah, that T1 is not making it through this level to franchising here in the LCK. This is really exciting. As you said, the player salaries are expected to go up, and that is something that, regardless of almost any type of situation, I am always in favor of having our players have, more finances, better lifestyles afforded to them in these type of situations. Always positives in my eyes for these guys, and especially here thinking about getting this level of finances coming through here. Yes. Hey, look, I love to watch these stories about relegation as well here that we had in the LCK. But look, adding in this level of security here financially for a lot of these organizations that want to get in, this is just that next step, that next level here. And I think that this can lead to bigger and better things overall for the LCK and for Riot Korea.
And Ashley Kang and a few other sources saying that right now, the minimum salary, which of course a lot of players will be making much more than the minimum, but 16,000 US approximately. No wonder these guys are going to China or NA to get paid, because they're making literally just add a couple zeros to these salaries. That is insanely low for 2020.
You literally add a 0 to the end of that one there and say, hey, welcome to North America.
Yeah.
All you got to put up with is eating burgers and having to deal with NA solo
Yeah,
queuing.
and not winning.
Look, right. So, like, look, there's a couple trade-offs, sure, but this level of cash being influxed into the LCK scene here, it's about time, and especially for these players here, really happy to see that they're going to get rewarded here with some of this extra cash. And as we've seen in maybe not so much with the LCS, but especially with the LEC, the change to franchising and how much that revamped the broadcasting and attention and content production coming through from there. Sponsors, yeah, this seems to be a very good positive here. And again, that was built off of the backs of the LCS having franchising here. So I can only, again, expect that some of the lessons here learned from the LEC's franchising and things that they implemented to be taken here into account for the LCK's trip.
We saw 4 teams cut from franchising from the year before in the LCS. I think it might be more in the LCK because some of these organizations I just don't know have a big enough of a financial backing. Yes, T1 will be absolutely fine. KT Rolster will probably be fine. Hanwha Life is a team that they don't have the biggest fan base. They're not necessarily incredibly successful, but they have that Hanwha Life brand that will be probably enough to get them into franchising. But Dragon X, is that a team that's going to get through even though they have all these star players? Harder for them. Griffin, see ya. Griffin has a 0.1% chance of getting accepted into this.
To be fair, with the way everything's gone with Griffin, I'm not crying any tears to see Griffin.
No, they shouldn't be. But because of all the management issues, there's no way Riot can accept them.
Yeah, there's no way. Look, hey, this is the prime opportunity. Let's get Jin Air back into the LCK here. We've had them. They've been long-standing, upright citizens of the LCK throughout its history here.
And not just the LCK, but they're just a storied esports organization even before League of Legends, which is a reason that they might get in.
Let's bring it in. Hey, we're going to take Hanwha's big ol' insurance money, and we're going to bring in the Jin Air, bring them on in.
But Damwon, Griffin, all these smaller organizations, I got a feeling they're not going to be making it in. Gen.G, T1, KT probably should all be fine, but expect a lot of changeover when 2020 rolls around in the LCK because that's how franchising works. That's it. That's all the time. We went on for a while today, almost 50 minutes, but there was a lot of action. There was a lot of action on the weekend.
Big weekend to recap.
Big weekend, lots of playoffs, and there's going to be more throughout the week. We'll do some global power rankings, and yes, there'll be some shift. Everybody's mad. The T1 wasn't higher. This is what happens when you upload the video the day before they play Gen.G, and you have Gen.G higher, and they win the head-to-head. But I digress. We'll be back for plenty more action. Mark and Eric here with you guys as always. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you on the flippity flop.